So, through my time in the classroom, I have been able to observe how technology plays a role in today's education. I chose to focus on the problem of over-reliance of technology in the classroom and how it affects student performance. So, my study focuses on the benefits of incorporating textbooks back into the classroom and getting away from using online textbooks and online resources. So I chose this study because I have been working in a high school for 2 years and as an aide, and I constantly see students all the time not using technology correctly. They're either on social media or they're on anything but what they're supposed to be doing. So my solution is to get hard copies of textbooks and assignments back in the classroom. You can still use your assistive technologies and things of that nature, but the main focus isn't to always have a computer or laptop in hand. This study will be conducted between two classes. It would be the same subject, just two different class periods. One class would be allowed to use their technology while completing their assignments for the week. The other class will not be allowed to complete their assignments using technology. Once the first week is up, then the classes will flip-flop. The one who got to use technology won't. The one who didn't will. And then the third week will be used to mix within the lesson, allowing students the opportunity to use technology to complete parts of the assignment for the week, but not for the entire class time each day. At the end of the study, the data collected over the 3 weeks will be used to show the impact of just technology-based learning, just hard copies of textbooks and assignments, and then when you use the balance, and then you use and balance the use of both methods. It is proposed that the experimental group only using hard copies of textbooks and assignments would have fewer distractions than those using mainly technology. This study could benefit teachers by teaching them ways to incorporate hard copies of textbooks back into the classroom and how it can create fewer distractions for the students. The population of students within this study would be all 10th graders at a large suburban high school, between 20 to 25 students in each class. About 40% of students in each class will be females, 60% of the classes will consist of males, and about 36% of the population of each class will be African American, about 40% will be Caucasian, and the remaining 24% of the population will be other. This population was chosen because they are still maturing and learning the proper ways to use technology. This group was also chosen because the special education teacher who is conducting this study, which is me, I predominantly work with 10th graders in the classroom. So it is easier for me to access that data and to be able to go in and collect the data throughout the process. This large suburban high school is ranked number 5 in the state and number 3 in the Birmingham Metro schools based on their performance on state graduation and how prepared students are for college. The type of sampling that will be used in this research is called maximum variation / heterogeneous. This type of sampling is used when people conduct polls. It's when you want to reach as many people as possible to get as much data as you can. This would best fit this study because for 1 week, one class will get technology, then the next week the classes will switch, and then there will be a week where the classes use both. The control group will be the classes when they are allowed both technology and hard copies of textbooks and assignments. This simulates what it is like every day in classrooms today. The experimental groups will be when the classes are using only technology or only hard copies of textbooks and assignments. The students have been placed in these groups because it is in the time in which these students come to the class. The participants will be evaluated all 3 ways. So this will happen to help collect more accurate data since students in the classes are all different. So students all learn differently. So when the students are only allowed to use hard copies of textbooks and assignments, they will be expected to have fewer distractions than when using only technology or a mix of both. This study contains very little to no harm, but parents will still be informed of the details of the study and reasoning behind it. Parents will be asked to sign permission forms giving consent that their child can participate. It's all voluntary, and if a student and or parent wish to not participate, then they have the option to opt out. Parents and students may remove themselves from the study at any time to prevent students' identities from being exposed. Students will be given numbers and referred to as subject 1, 2, 3, etc. Ideally, this study would be conducted over a 3-week period in the second 9 weeks of school. That way students have enough time to be adjusted to the new school year. You're not just springing it on them as soon as they get there. Once all the permission forms are collected and the study can begin, for those who wish to not participate will get to go about class as though they normally would, and data will not be collected on them. For the first week, each class will be observed with no changes made to the class. This will give a baseline of information of how often students get distracted when working in class on a regular basis. After the first week, the second week is when one class period will only use technology. The other class period will only use hard copies of textbooks and assignments. And then the third week, they would flip. And so through these 2 weeks, you're getting to record the students with only technology, with textbooks, so you can compare it to the baseline that we took during week 1. Once all the data has been collected, it's all going to be taken based off observations, and the focus of the data is how often students are going to get off task. At the end of the 3 weeks, it will be examined to determine which method involves the least number of distractions in the classroom. In order to collect this data, there will be a document with a chart. The chart will have the day of the week, which class, what type of assignment, technology, or hard copies of text, and then a spot to tally the number of times students are off task. This means if a student is having to be reminded to work or caught doing something completely unrelated to the assignment, then there will be like a little tally mark in the chart. This data will determine if hard copies of textbooks and assignments decrease the number of distractions while completing assignments. For a student to be considered off task, they would be participating in activities such as working on another class's assignment, talking with other classmates, or being on their phone or sleeping. So, because there's only one person conducting the research, there will be a chance of the observer missing times when students are off task, which will end up affecting some of the data collection and the results that would be presented at the end. So, of course, at the end of the research, all the information will be compiled, and it would be placed in graphs and charts that easily show if there's been a change or not in the way the students remain on task while completing assignments. Some changes I would probably make as I go through this would probably be the way that I collect the data. It's very hard for one person to collect all the data by hand when you're in a classroom of 20 to 25 students. So a change I might make is incorporating where the class is recorded, so I can go back and check to see if I've missed any students being off task, especially if they're using textbooks and hard copies of assignments. That would be easier to be able to tell because they won't have any technology out, so it's more obvious when they're off task. Some additional research that could be done to help not only the students but also the teachers is looking into best practices and incorporating technology while balancing still using textbooks and paper assignments, because there's just a lot of technology used in the class, and just from my own personal observations in classrooms, it's very hard for teachers to truly know if students are actually completing work on their computers or if they're just putting it off. So by conducting this and doing more research, I think it would benefit teachers in in a way of being able to understand best practices to integrate technology but not rely on it.